Welcome back to our three-part series on optimal performance. In part one, we covered training. In part two, we covered rest. And today, we're going to cover the last of the three pieces, which has to do with the actual moment, the moment of performance. And in my opinion, there is a lot that can be said in this conversation, but I'm going to limit it to four things that I think are essential for us to have a superior performance in the moment, no matter what it is. So let's jump right in, shall we? I think the first one that's required is you have to have talent. You have to have some measure of a natural ability to do what it is that you're proposing to do. And once you have discovered what that talent is, then you can know that that's the place where you're likely to be most successful. The whole of the strengths movement is built around the idea that you begin where you have some innate ability, some kind of physical or measurable strength. And these talents, these strengths, can be found in a physical form, they can be found in an intellectual form, they can be found in an emotional form. You might be phenomenal at relational or emotional engagements and not have much physical prowess to speak of. Well, that makes you no less talented than anybody else. The talent still exists and is part one of the four parts that are needed for a really successful delivery of any kind. The second one then really has to be that you need to polish that skill. You need to work on the ability that you already have. And that really is the essence of the whole of the strengths movement. It's the idea that you take what you already have and you continue to build on it by adding some skill, some experience, or some knowledge to what you already have. I was a swimmer from early on, and I've always loved to be a swimmer. I love to swim. And when God gave me that ability, I realized if I would just add some extra training to the ability, it really strengthened and magnified what I was capable of doing. And I think that that's true whether you have a physical ability, an emotional ability, or an intellectual ability. The key is that you intentionally add skill, experience, or knowledge to the physical abilities that you already have, and then they can really be accelerated and taken to a new place. So that's point number two, polish on or add to the talent that you already have. The third one is a little bit more scary, at least in our world, and it's the idea of visualization. Now, I think a lot of faith-based conversations steer away from this concept because it's very mind control kind of, those are the thoughts that go down that road, and we become a little bit apprehensive about it. But in truth, the Bible says in Proverbs that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And there was a recent science review done that's available on TED Talks for your, if you'd like to check up on it. But the fellow's name is Heribert Watzke, and he delivered this scientific delivery that shows that the same kind of organic matter that is found in the brain is also found in this area of the body. Meaning it is now biologically possible for us to prove by science that you can think here, because all the thinking is not done here. Well, God knew that because obviously He made us, and so for Him to say, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he, wasn't a falsehood or anything new for Him. But the self-help industry has understood this to be a reality and have turned it into billion-dollar industry. And yet somehow as Christians we seem a little bit tentative about that reality. And I can tell you from personal experience that visualizing and visualization in my world as a swimmer had a tremendous impact on my capacity to perform at a high level. Because when you get up into world-class rankings, improvements are made in minuscule steps. It's shaving little pieces at a time. And the way to get there, you absolutely have to train your mind to be a part of what you're trying to accomplish. And so I would like to just take out a challenge or throw out a challenge for you to consider. Use your mind to think over the things that you would like to see happen. And think very carefully and in great detail about every one of those things. Dream about it, every facet of the deal that you're trying to accomplish, whether it's a standing delivery of some kind, whether it's whatever the moment of performance is that you're about to have, whether it's a relational engagement. But if you'll prepare by thinking through it in your mind, you'll be amazed at what strides you can make in that experience by preparing for it ahead of time. I know in my case that my swimming capacity, the actual speed that I was able to have, accelerated dramatically once I began to include the concept of visualization in my everyday routines. And what I would do is I would ask God to give me His mind. I would ask Him to use my mind in the area that I'm about to perform in, and to sanctify it in a way that I would use this tool that He's given me in a way that honors Him and honors the competitors or the folks that I'm interacting with, and blesses everybody along the way. And I would carefully think through every facet of my race, capturing every thought so that it was in obedience to what I wanted and what I believed was accurate and right in the moment. And when I was done with the visualization experience, my heart rate was elevated, I was completely engaged in the moment, and I could take my resting heart rate from 60 beats a minute to over 120 beats a minute just by really thinking about my race and preparing for it. And when it came time to actually physically perform, my abilities were beyond what I had expected, just because of the power of visualization. So it's a strong one, and I don't think that there's any way you could get to optimal performance without this piece. The final one that I want to talk about then is self-sabotage. And the reason this one is true is most of us do this and we don't really think about it, unfortunately. And it's hidden in the idea that none of us want to fail. And I accept that. I mean, nobody wants to go into anything knowing that you might not make it, that it might not do what you were hoping it would do. And so I've experienced this in my swimming career too, the same kind of thing. I would get up onto the blocks about to compete with a competitor. I'd look at him, I'd make the assessment and realize there's a chance that I might not win this race. And if that's the case, boy, that would really be bad. I didn't want that at all, especially if I'm going to commit everything that I have. And so I would hold back just a little bit, 5 to 8% maybe, almost invisible to the naked eye. No one else could know except me, because I've got that little bit hanging back there. And then when I don't actually win the race on 92% of what I'm capable of, I would get out and I'd go, man, that sure stinks that I didn't win. But I know why, because I did that thing, you know, I held that little bit back, and so I can assign my loss to something I was in control of. And so it's back there, and so I don't have any surprises. But folks, anything worth doing is worth going all in for, going in for 100%. And we cannot be in charge of the outcomes of our lives. All we can be in charge of is what we give, how hard we commit to it, how fully we commit to every moment and every day. And so what I want to challenge you with is, first, be aware that all of us at some level are prone to the idea of some version of self-sabotage. And if you think about what it might be for you, I think you'll uncover what you believe that to be. And then dare to give 100% in every moment, and let the outcome be up to God. Let God be the one who decides who wins and who doesn't, and how that experience plays out. Whether the height of your moment is a speaking engagement, or whether it's a relational interaction that's one-on-one with somebody, whether it's going to be an emotionally draining series of events, or even a physical activity. Give everything you have every time that you get up. It's the best way to honor God with the talents and the abilities that you have. And it shows to you and to the rest of the world that you are really not in charge of everything that happens in your life. So, 4 things that are necessary for optimal performance. You got to start with talent. If you start somewhere else, I don't know that it's going to be your very best. Necessary for you to add some skills, some training, some experience to the talent that you have in order for it to really explode at a high level. I think it's going to be necessary for you to visualize and believe in your mind that you're capable of doing what it is that you're about to step up and do. And then the final one is, don't hold anything back. Don't sabotage yourself. Give it all. Give everything that you have for this optimal performance. And the more that you get used to repeating these 4 principles in the delivery points that are coming up in your life, the more comfortable it'll be for you to be able to go through this routine and get the very best out of every opportunity. Well, thanks for hanging with me in this 3-part series. It was a joy to be with you. Have a great day.